Price is interacting with overlapping session anchors near the 120 moving average. The hourly boundary remains defined by the February 23rd Asia session low and the February 24th New York session range. Volatility has expanded and contracted around these references without establishing relocation. Duration, not distance, is shaping the structure. On February 23rd, the Asia session moved below its own anchor and engaged the lower boundary of the February 5th Asia session. That engagement did not extend. It tested, paused, and stabilized near that lower memory. The reaction was not sharp rejection. It was controlled containment. The February 24th New York session formed between the lower and midpoint of the February 5th Asia session anchor. That placement matters. It positioned the session directly inside prior Asia memory rather than outside it. Structural weight remained layered. After formation, price revisited the February 23rd Asia lower boundary. It then rotated upward toward the upper boundary of the February 5th Asia session. Movement was visible. Relocation was not confirmed. Interaction continued inside reference levels. The February 24th Asia session then formed between the February 23rd Asia lower boundary and the February 24th New York upper boundary. Overlap increased, structural density increased, duration began to compress inside that overlap. A single upward expansion pushed through multiple references at once. It crossed the February 23rd Asia lower boundary, the February 5th Asia upper boundary, and both sides of the February 23rd New York session box. That sequence appeared decisive, but it stalled at the 120 moving average, aligned near the 0.33 retracement area. The 120 moving average is not acting as a signal. It is acting as structural weight. It overlaps the February 23rd New York upper boundary. That confluence increases density. Density increases friction. After that interaction, price failed to persist above the New York session box. It rotated back inside. It moved downward toward the February 5th Asia upper boundary again. This is not expansion. This is negotiation. The 20 moving average flattened during the February 24th New York session. Flat slope reduces directional bias. In the following Asia session, it began turning upward. The slope shifted gradually. That shift carried price back inside the February 23rd Asia session box. The lower band of the 20 Bollinger structure aligns closely with the February 5th Asia session low. Bandwidth is slightly narrowing. Contraction is visible. The upper band aligns near the 120 moving average and prior New York upper boundary. That side is slightly open. The 4-period Bollinger Bands expanded during New York volatility. They then compressed. In Asia, expansion reappeared briefly. It compressed again. Microcycles are alternating without higher timeframe relocation. The hourly structure remains defined by session overlap. Expansion attempts have occurred. Persistence has not formed. Containment is still active. Volatility is shifting inside a prior hourly range. The session anchor remains intact. Lower timeframe movement negotiates around it. Persistence determines duration. The 120 moving average continues to overlap the February 23rd New York upper boundary. That overlap increases structural weight. Weight slows relocation. Weight requires repetition before extension. Distance between price and the 120 moving average has narrowed. Earlier, the gap was wider. Now interaction is frequent. Frequent interaction reduces momentum efficiency. It increases structural negotiation. The 20 moving average slope is modestly upward. It is not accelerating, it is rotating. Rotation indicates adjustment rather than directional dominance. The slope is positive but shallow. Bandwidth on the 20 Bollinger structure is slightly compressing. The lower band remains anchored near the February 5th Asia low. That alignment has held through multiple tests. Duration reinforces it. Compression dominates this phase. Bodies are smaller. Upper and lower wicks are alternating. Follow-through is inconsistent. Flatness persists across several candles. Flatness persists again. Range containment remains visible. Movement appears active but resolves back inside reference levels. The 4-period Bollinger Band shows short bursts of expansion. Each burst contracts quickly. Microvolatility expands. Microvolatility contracts. The pattern repeats without relocation. The February 24th Asia session expansion through multiple boundaries was fast. But persistence above those boundaries did not form. Duration was insufficient. Structural completion requires time, not speed. Overlap between February 23rd Asia lower boundary and February 24th New York upper boundary creates a tight interaction zone. Inside this zone, volatility alternates rather than extends. Compression cycles repeat. The 120 moving average acts as ceiling weight. The 20 moving average acts as rotational support. Price oscillates between them. Oscillation is not trend. Oscillation is processing. The lower 20 Bollinger Band remains firm near the February 5th Asia low. It has not widened aggressively. It has not accelerated downward. Stability continues. Stability continues again. Duration increases inside containment. Movement remains visible, but boundary remains older. No relocation has occurred beyond the February 23rd New York upper boundary. Attempts were visible. Persistence failed. Containment remains the governing structure. Structure has not relocated. It is being tested. The 1H range holds structural weight. The 15M layer fluctuates within it. Compression precedes transition. On the 15-minute layer, expansion through multiple hourly references appeared sharp. But candles quickly lost extension. Upper wicks increased. Bodies narrowed. Follow-through shortened. The 15M20 moving average tracks closely beneath recent rotation. Its slope turned upward after flattening during New York. That upward tilt supports rotation back into the hourly box. It does not yet confirm relocation beyond it. Slope remains moderate. Acceleration is limited. Interaction with the hourly upper boundary continues to fail persistence. The 15M4 period Bollinger Band expanded aggressively during the New York spike. Bandwidth widened rapidly. Range momentarily stretched beyond internal equilibrium, but contraction followed immediately. Volatility did not redistribute outward. It folded back into the prior range. Asia repeated the cycle. Expansion appeared. Contraction followed again. Distance from the upper boundary narrowed, then flattened. This repetition matters. Expansion without duration produces instability. Contraction without breakdown produces compression. Compression increases interaction frequency. Interaction frequency increases structural density. Density slows extension. Density increases friction. Multiple 15-minute candles continue closing within the same hourly region. Bodies overlap. Highs and lows partially overlap. Momentum oscillates but does not extend. Flatness dominates this segment. Flatness repeats. Flatness persists across multiple cycles. The hourly structure remains unchanged. The February 23rd New York session box still defines upper resistance. The February 5th Asia upper boundary still defines lower negotiation. The 15M layer rotates between them. Attempts to extend above the 120 moving average on the 15M chart lose persistence quickly. Distance from the 120 MA expands briefly, then contracts, then stabilizes. Attempts to press below the lower band also lose continuation. Lower wicks appear. Continuation fades. Both sides compress. Bandwidth begins to narrow again. Range width stabilizes. Volatility cycles shorten. Candle bodies reduce in size. Short-term momentum slows. Slope flattens slightly. Interaction remains frequent. Overlap duration increases further. The more time price spends inside this band region, the heavier the boundary becomes. Heavier boundaries require stronger persistence to relocate. Persistence has not yet formed. The 1H containment remains intact. The 15M fluctuation remains reactive. Volatility continues to redistribute inside overlapping session memory.